Hi, and welcome to this online course. This course is being offered absolutely free of cost to ensure that it reaches all those in need, irrespective of social and economic circumstances. Also, through these courses, we want to achieve our vision to improve the lives of 1 million people. So please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do go through the do's and don'ts of online learning before you start. Pause the video wherever required and make notes. Wish you all the very best and happy learning.
Hi, welcome to the course Certified Placement Ready Candidate, pre-placement training course for students in final and pre-final year of graduation and post-graduation. Let us understand the session plan for the course before we start. We will start with introduction to the course and objectives. We will then move on to understand in detail about recruitment and selection. Then we will together build a resume which will stand out. Next session will be on group discussion, which is a very important elimination round in placement process. We will then understand in depth about the job interview. Then we will understand more clearly about technical and HR interview. We will have a case study or exercise in the end, which is mandatory for certification. The course will end with a session on queries and feedback. Let us start with introduction to the course and course objectives. Certified Placement Ready Candidate is a comprehensive placement training program designed to achieve the following three key objectives. One, to help understand the different recruitment and selection methods. Two, to create winning resume or CV which can stand out among fierce competition. Three, to prepare learners to face group discussion and interview rounds with full confidence. Overall, we will target to ensure success of learners in the placement process, whether it is on or off campus. Let us now get into the session on recruitment and selection. To begin with, let us understand the difference between these two terms, recruitment and selection. Normally, both these terms are interchangeably used but are not the same. By definition, recruitment is the process of attracting, shortlisting, selecting, and appointing suitable candidates. Process of recruitment focuses on elimination of unsuitable candidates and thus is known as a negative process. For example, GD or group discussion round, aptitude test, and so on. In these rounds, the percentage of candidates eliminated is more than those shortlisted for the next round of the recruitment process. Whereas selection is a process of choosing the most suitable candidate for the position, and here the focus is on selecting the suitable candidates from a pool of shortlisted people. Thus, selection is a positive process as compared to recruitment. Examples of selection rounds are HR interview, technical interview, etc. Hence, as a candidate, you need to focus to be the best when it comes to recruitment rounds, as the chances of elimination is very high. In the selection round, the focus needs to be on portraying yourself as a positive overall personality. The first document which one needs to be prepared with when it comes to recruitment or selection is CV or resume. In this session, let us learn to build one that stands out. There are a lot of terms used like CV, resume, biodata, profile, etc. Let us first understand the difference between these terms. CV stands for curriculum vitae, that is, vital or key things of your curriculum are shown in this document. So, normally, this term refers to the document of a fresher as the focus is more on the education. Resume is a snapshot or summary of experience, education, professional accomplishments, etc., and normally used for experienced people. Focus is more on work experience. Biodata is nothing but biographical data or information like date of birth, gender, marital status, place, and so on, which is a part of all documents like CV, resume, and profile. Profile is normally created by some specialized professionals like actors, models, consultants, trainers, etc. In this document, the main focus is on type of work or projects undertaken, sample work, clientele, and so on. Irrespective of what you call this document, it plays a vital role in shortlisting of the candidate for the entire recruitment and selection process. From here on, the term resume will be used for convenience and better understanding. Key points to keep in mind while designing a resume are: ensure that it is not more than one page, that is, only one side of an A4 sheet. Make the resume clear, comprehensive, and attractive. Please remember that resume is you on paper, so take time to create it. Video resume is becoming common nowadays, where you talk about yourself in few minutes, record it, upload, and share the link with the company or recruiters. Focus here is on summarizing the resume in a comprehensive and attractive manner. While sharing or emailing the document or the link for video resume, make sure you write a professional cover letter. The cover letter also shows how professional you are, and so make sure you have no errors in the cover letter and it looks very professional. You may refer to email etiquette module under Certified Corporate Ready Professional course to know more about business writing and how to write correct email. What was the reason to say that your resume should be one page? One, your resume is not something based on which you are selected for the role. It is just a short listing tool. Two, your resume is like your marketing poster. Have you seen a poster which is 3 to 4 pages? 3. Do remember that an HR or any company representative spends hardly 15 to 20 seconds on your resume, so it is to be concise, comprehensive, and clear to attract the attention of that person. I'm sure you would have thought, how can so much of information be put in a single page? So let us see an exhaustive list of items that can go on a resume or CV. Now pause the video and go through this list. This is not a list of things which are mandatory to go on a resume. Just to list them, it has taken one page. Definitely, it is not possible to have everything in a one-page resume. You should know a writing technique in order to bring these into a single-page document. This technique is called MSC or must, should, could. This technique can be used to write any article, story, etc. When you have a lot of information and want to condense the same in few pages or words, this technique is very helpful. Must are those items which are mandatory or vital to have. Should are those which are essential to have but are not mandatory. These can be added or not depending on the situation. Could are all those items which are desirable but not at all essential to be added. These can be easily removed from the writing. Let us now use the same technique on the items we listed for resume building. Now you can understand so much information we think should be added in the resume are actually not necessary. M stands for must, S for should, and C for could. All information which have M like name, mobile number, email ID, gender, etc. are mandatory to be added in a resume. All items which have S can be added or not depending on the situation or choice of the candidate. Examples are tagline, strengths, nationality, etc. For some items which are duplicates like awards, achievements are also put as S. Items with C are not at all required and can be removed from the list. Examples are declaration, PAN number, weaknesses, expected salary, etc. There are few items with two letters like M and S. These depend on the situation, for example, marital status. For a college placement, this information is a should, but for experienced candidates, it is a must. Similarly, languages known. If you know 4 or more languages, it becomes must or else a should. Projects is mandatory for a fresher but is a should for experienced candidates. Hope this is clear. Pause the video and go through all the points if required. Let us now have a look at some sample resumes and CVs. This is the resume of Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla Motors. As you can see, all the information discussed in the last section is put in a single page. Graphics and icons are used to make it look better and to also save space. The second example is that of Arun Kotalgi, founder of Arun's Academy. Again, a different format is used to showcase the experience, education, and all the details discussed. The last example is CV of a final year engineering student. In all these examples, different fonts, formats, and designs are used to make it really attractive, comprehensive, and concise. You can use simple Microsoft Word to design your resume or choose to use many apps and software available today. If you want to have different designs, please keep in mind the following points. 1. Use maximum 2 fonts and ensure they look professional. Recommended fonts are Times New Roman, Arial, and Calibri. 2. Use colors carefully. Recommendation is not to go beyond 2 colors. Even if you take a black and white printout, the colors should look neat and text should be legible. 3. Make sure you use the complete space available and do not leave any empty space. I am sure you will be able to design amazing resume after going through this session of resume building. Once your resume is shortlisted, you will have to go through a lot of recruitment rounds before you can attend the final interview. One of the widely used recruitment round is GD or group discussion. Let us first understand what is a group discussion. Group discussion is a methodology used by organizations to gauge whether the candidate has certain personality traits and skills that it desires in its members. In this methodology, a group of candidates are given a topic or a situation and then asked to discuss the same among themselves for 15 to 20 minutes. We normally hear from candidates that they were not able to perform well as they were not well aware of the topic. Please remember that only around 10% weightage is given to knowledge of the topic. Remaining more than 90% of weightage is actually given to other traits like communication skills, body language, self confidence, leadership skills, listening ability, teamwork, time management, creative thinking, and problem solving.
The foundation of all soft skills or life skills, which we call, is communication. Whichever profession you belong to, whatever work you do, communication forms a foundation. It's very important for us to connect with people, right? So that's how we can start building any profession. So it's the most important thing. To start with, let's define what is communication. To put it very, very simply, communication is nothing but a transfer of information, some kind of information from one person to another. Sometimes the intended meaning which the person wants to give is same as what is received, sometimes it is not. If it is same, it is called effective, otherwise it is ineffective communication. So this transfer of information can happen through various modes. The most common which we can quote is verbal communication or use of language. And every other mode of communication is non-verbal. For example, the body language, appearance, posture, the way we sit, the way we stand, the gestures, eye contact, smile, facial expressions, all this, including even the tone of voice, all this can be termed as non-verbal communication. Now, coming to verbal communication, verbal has to do everything with language. So, even spoken and written both can be termed as verbal communication. Within verbal communication, there are four skills which anyone can develop. The most important in that is L or listening. Second comes S or speaking. Third is R, reading. Last is W or writing. So this actually follows this hierarchy L, S, R and W. But if we actually see, we look around, we give a lot of importance to writing and reading, comparatively lesser importance to speaking, and probably the least importance to listening. But if you actually think, in the verbal communication or in generally in communication, listening is the most important part. Peter Drucker is a management guru. He says listening is the most important part of communication is listening, and that too to what is not said. He means to say that not only what is told, but you should be, if you are a good communicator, you should be in a position to even understand and listen to what is not even being said through understanding the body language and other modes of communication. So when we talk about listening, it's not only enough that we just hear to what is falling on our ears. Now that is hearing and it is involuntary. We usually say don't just listen but do active listening. So listening is focusing on some particular sound. But when we talk about active listening happens when you not just hear, not just listen, but also comprehend, understand and also respond to the speaker or whoever is communicating with you.
Please do not keep quiet just because the topic is difficult. If you are not so sure about the topic, do not start. Listen carefully to the points made by everyone and then add your points later. Ensure you are displaying a confident body language. Showcase your teamwork and leadership skills by communicating with everyone and being assertive. Use your creativity to put across your viewpoints. Now that you understand what all points are being observed in a group discussion, let us move forward. There are different types of GD you might come across. Most commonly used type is topic based GD. Topics can be factual, like COVID crisis and its effects on economy. They can be controversial, like can women handle crisis better than men? Topics can even be abstract, like black, silver lining, etc. The second type of GD is case based, where a real life like case study is given for discussion. For example, you're in the management committee of a company going through real tough phase in terms of revenue and profitability. The investors are putting a lot of pressure to get back to PAT positive. After all the measures, you are now left with a major decision to lay off bottom 30% of the employees. Assuming yourself in the board meeting, discuss the options available and the way forward. Whatever the type of GD, please ensure that you are being very assertive in your communication and are not being emotional. Remember to display the traits as discussed in the earlier session. Let us also understand the various types of seating arrangements made for GD. The seating arrangement depends on the kind of infrastructure available and number of candidates participating in a GD. It can be rectangular, circular, square, oval, or semicircular. If you have a choice, select a place where you can see all the participants and all others can see you as well. This will give you a slight advantage while discussing. How is a GD normally structured? GD will have three broad sections, that is initiation or introduction, main body, and closing or summary. Around 10% of the time goes in initiation, around 80% in main body discussion, and last 10% in summarizing or closing. Both initiating and summarizing a GD is a high profit, high loss strategy, because if you do it well, you are definitely selected, and if you goof up, you surely lose the chance. Initiate a GD only if you know the topic very well. Make sure you have enough strong points to put forward. Initiating shows your leadership quality as well. Body of the GD is where maximum discussion takes place. You can use facts, figures, statements, opinion, quotes, questions, experiences, stories, shock statements, etc. Avoid giving your opinion too much and focus on talking facts. Using quotes of famous people adds credibility. For example, as Steve Jobs quoted, only those who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who actually do. Take notes and try remembering names of other participants. These show that you are a good listener. Limit sharing too much of personal stories and experiences. To get the attention of the group, shock statement helps. For example, in a GD about economy, a statement like India has always been dependent on countries like China for its survival is a shock statement. Use these only if you have valid points and facts to support your statement. Taking a clear stand always shows that you have clarity of thought. Normally, the moderators will announce when it is time to close. This is the time when the GD needs to be summarized. Even if you have not contributed anything, you can increase your chances of getting shortlisted if you are just able to summarize the GD well. If you have made notes, it becomes easy to summarize and conclude the GD on a high note. There are different roles which participants play in a group discussion. This is just for your reference. The different roles played are initiator, facilitator, seeker or disseminator of information, opinion seeker or giver, analyst, supporter, reliever, energizer, bridge creator, summarizer. One person can also play multiple roles. Selection or shortlisting do not directly depend on roles participants play in a GD. Before we move to the next section, let us know some key tips to win the group discussion round. Keep yourself updated on current affairs and topics by reading newspapers, upskilling, etc. Practice impromptu speaking. There is no alternative to practicing. Active listening is highly appreciated. Display leadership traits like initiation, working with others, confidence, etc. Never give up. But remember, GD is not an argument or debate. Manage your emotions well. GD is not a place to get emotional. Be aware of your body language and tone of voice. You may sound submissive or passive, strong and assertive, rude and aggressive just by your tone of voice and body language. Be clear, concise, and consistent in what you speak. Once you clear the GD and some other recruitment rounds, you will have to face the job interview. Let us understand in detail about what it is, types, and 5W and 1H, that is, what, why, when, where, who, and how of the job interview. First of all, what's an interview in general? It is a conversation where questions are asked and answers are given. In common parlance, the word interview refers to a one-on-one conversation with one person acting in the role of the interviewer and the other in the role of the interviewee. This is a general definition of an interview and not specific to only job interview. Now let us understand what is a job interview. Job interview is a process in which a potential employee is evaluated by an employer for prospective employment in their company or organization. During this process, the employer hopes to determine whether or not the applicant is suitable for the job. There are various types of job interviews. The most common type is face-to-face interview. It can be either one-on-one or many-to-one, that is panel interview. Second type of interview is telephonic interview. This is normally used as an initial screening round to save on recruitment costs. There is one more type which is online, that is through video call like Skype. This is used when candidate or the interviewer or panel cannot be physically present for the interview process. For telephonic and online mode of interview, you need to ensure proper signal or internet is available and also need to be in a quiet place to attend the interview. More focus would be required as it is little more complex to gauge compared to face interview. Whatever the type of interview, as a candidate, you need to know only three things, that is A, B, C, to crack the interview. Remember, you are being hired only for your attitude to learn, adapt, grow, and your general attitude towards life.
First of all, let's try to understand what is attitude. Normally, attitude is used in a very wrong sense, as in we say this person has got attitude, he or she is a person with a lot of attitude. That's a wrong usage. If we actually technically think about the term attitude, it is always towards someone, something, or some situation. Let's take an example: rock music. Now, this is something which I have a slightly a negative attitude towards. I don't understand rock music, I don't enjoy it. So if I go for a rock concert, uh, I'm not very happy after coming back from there. Same rock music, there are few of my friends who have a very high positive attitude towards that. They are so happy after going for a rock concert that they are just elated by the kind of music it is. So the item or the object or the situation is the same. One person carries a very high negative attitude towards it, other person carries a very positive attitude. So this is what is attitude basically. So it can be towards a person also, it can be towards a thing, a situation, it can be anything basically. Now we are talking about what kind of attitude should one carry to be successful. So it might seem a little ironical, but I say in order to be successful, it is not the attitude you carry towards success which matters, but it is the attitude towards failure. If we actually look at any successful person, all of them are having a very high positive attitude towards failure. Any person who can't accept failure can never be successful. Let's take a simple example of, say, Steve Jobs. I mean, a very known name. All of us know him as a founder of Apple, the founder of Pixar, a lot of things. He was very innovative in whatever he did. If you think, he actually went through a lot of failures. So if he was a person with a negative attitude towards failure, he would never have uh, uh, taken himself together again and moved forward. He would have given up, right? Only reason he was successful is he had a very positive attitude towards failure. One simple thing I recommend or suggest everyone: please try not to succeed, but try to fail. The more one person fails, the more he learns, because of which he learns and grows in his anything, in his career, in his profession. So just to sum up, attitude is not a standalone thing. It is always, every person has an attitude towards something, some situation, some person, and it is on a scale. It can be highly negative, neutral, positive, very positive. In order to be successful, one should have a very high positive attitude towards failure. Hope you are ready to fail, and through the learning from failure, you are ready to succeed. Thank you so much.
How can the interviewer judge your attitude? Through your B and C, that is behavior and communication. If you are late for the interview, which is a behavior, your attitude towards time management is negative. Your communication, both verbal and non-verbal, can tell a lot about your attitude and whether you can fit in the role available in the organization. So, do remember the ABC to crack any interview: attitude, behavior, and communication. Let us now understand some key tips while attending job interview. Research about the organization. Use the official website of the company. Talk to your seniors who might be working in the organization to understand few key things about the organization which is conducting the interview. Things like vision, mission, values, products and services, leadership team, job description, etc. Prepare for commonly asked questions. We will go through some important interview FAQs in further sections. Remember the rule of 12 for creating first impression. It is very important to create a great first impression as you have hardly 10 to 20 minutes with the interviewer. Rule of 12 says that it takes 3 12s to create a first impression. What are those? Your first 12 steps, 12 inches above shoulder, that is your face, and the first 12 words you speak. While observing your steps, people tend to observe how well you have dressed as well. Face is the index of mind, so display confidence. Choose the initial words carefully to leave a lasting impression on the interviewer. Your dressing tells a lot about you, so dress for the occasion. Formal attire is recommended for the job interview, irrespective of the culture of the company. Remember to take care of your dress, shoes, tie, belt, makeup, accessories, handkerchief, deodorant, nails, which are all part of your appearance. Give firm handshake and have a confident body language. If you are confident and the situation permits, you may extend your hands for a handshake. Otherwise, wait for the interviewer to extend his hands first. Speak clearly and confidently. Make sure you are able to convey your thoughts in crisp and clear manner. Follow up for the interview results professionally. At the right time, it is okay to follow up for your interview result. The company needs a right candidate as much as you need a good job. When it comes to job interviews, companies usually conduct two rounds, that is technical interview and HR interview. Let us first understand about technical interview. Technical interview is done to gauge the technical knowledge of the candidate, that is the subject knowledge. For engineers, it may be coding skills, engineering drawing, etc. For commerce student, it can be about taxation. Technical interviews involve challenges and assignments or even technical questions related to the subject. Examples include coding challenge for computer science student, analyzing the engineering drawing for mechanical student, diagnosing a patient based on symptoms for medical student, etc. Passion for the subject, depth of understanding and enthusiasm play a bigger role than language and communication skills in technical interviews. Let us know more about HR interview now. HR stands for Human Resources. HR team conducts this round of interview. Some companies merge technical and HR interview. Usually, this is the final round of interview. The focus in HR interview is on the attitude, communication skills, body language, confidence, culture fit, and not on technical knowledge. Discussion on posting location, designation, salary expectation, negotiation, etc. happens in this round of interview. Remember the ABC of cracking interview to excel these rounds. As informed earlier, let us now focus on some very commonly asked interview questions. Preparing for these is a must. 1. Tell me more about yourself. This is probably one question which every one of us have to face in an interview for sure. Highlight your skills, experience, and strengths. This is like your personal elevator pitch. Write your answer for this question and practice it well before the interview. You may want to refer to business plan section of certified entrepreneurship course to know more about elevator pitch. 2. Why are you suitable for this job? For this question, highlight your strengths and how it matches the job role. You need to know the job description well to articulate your answer correctly. 3. Why do you want to work for this company? For this question, explain your interest and motivation for wanting to work with this employer. Your research about the organization may come handy to answer this one. 4. Why do you want to leave your current job? This question will surely be asked if you are changing your job. You may give any valid reason like growth, learning opportunity, etc., but never salary and boss. If you give reasons of salary, HR may think you will leave this job as well for a little hike in salary. If you give the reason of your boss, there is no guarantee that you will get any different manager in the new company as well. 5. What is your biggest strength? Self awareness is important for being emotionally intelligent. So, do a critical self analysis or SWOT analysis beforehand. That is, your personal strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Know your top 3 strengths and weaknesses for sure. You can use STAR methodology to communicate your strength. STAR stands for situation, task, activities, result. For example, if you say that your strength is leadership, you may use STAR framework to answer in the following way. During our college days, our department was organizing a national level seminar. Now, this is the situation. I was called by my HOD and assigned a task to talk to high profile speakers and finalize for the seminar. This is the task at hand. Sir, I made a small team of friends. One was responsible for getting profiles, another for shortlisting, and I was calling the final list of speakers and trying to get their time for the seminar. These are the activities done. Sir, we were able to finalize amazing speakers for the national level seminar and it was a grand success. I even got a certificate of appreciation by the college principal for organizing the same. This is the result. Now, in this process of explaining, you also brought out your leadership skill. This is how you can use this framework to describe your strengths. 6. What is your biggest weakness? When you do SWOT analysis of self, you would also list your weaknesses. Know your top 3 weaknesses and communicate intelligently. You may choose some of your weaknesses, which are in turn strengths for the organization, like being workaholic. But never lie, as it is very easy to catch. You can also talk about some weaknesses like being poor time manager, but highlight that you have identified it and also how you are working hard to overcome that particular weakness. 7. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? This question is asked to test your goal orientation. It is recommended that you Do your personal goal setting and align your personal goals to the position and the company while you answer for this question. Avoid mugged up answers like I see myself in your chair and so on. 8. What is your salary expectation? If you are a fresher, recommended answer is to say as per company policy. If you are experienced, you may think about what value you can add to the organization in the job role and give a number depending on your current CTC and company policy. 9. Tell me about the biggest challenge you have faced. You can communicate your biggest personal or professional challenge. More importantly, how you overcame the challenge. Your answer should highlight your fighting spirit and not negativity. 10. Tell me more about. This can be about anything written in your resume like hobbies, projects, etc. Make sure you have written everything correctly and are able to explain convincingly. 11. Do you have any questions? This is usually the last question of the interviewer after he or she is done with the interview. Ask relevant questions to increase your chances of hiring. Never say no questions, as most of the candidates would do the same. Your question can be related to job profile, growth prospects, and not on salary date, perks, etc. Remember that the question you ask is creating an impression of you. Let us now quickly go through some important do's and don'ts in an interview. Arrive on time or 10 minutes before time, but never late. Dress appropriately. Listen carefully to what is being communicated and use relevant examples while answering. You are not in the interview to only answer questions. Engage with the interviewer and build a rapport. It increases your chance of selection. Smile can be very powerful. Use it appropriately and make eye contact while communicating. It shows confidence. Do not talk too much. Do not hesitate to ask relevant questions. Never ever lie about yourself or your experience just to make good impression. It never works. Do not put unnecessary things in your resume or CV which are not required. Remember the resume building session and the must, should, and could information in a resume.
Today I'm going to be talking about 3 important tips that you should keep in mind before attending an interview. Now, a lot of times we go for a lot of different interviews for different job roles, different places, sometimes a new place altogether, a new environment altogether, and most of these times we are confused as to what exactly needs to be done or said, or what should we do on our part to ace that interview. So I'm going to be giving you 3 tips on how you can actually create a wonderful impact on the interviews that you attend. The first thing, and a very important thing that some people do not follow, or something that I've seen has reduced in terms of what people pay attention to, is appearance. Now when I talk about appearance, I'm talking about the way you dress, the way you appear, the way somebody puts across themselves or their personality to the interviewer based on how they present themselves. So very importantly, first thing to keep in mind is always make sure that your clothes are neatly ironed. Your clothes also contribute to your complexion. If you are a fair person, try and wear something a dark color, or if you are somebody with a darker complexion, try and wear light colored shirts. This actually complements your complexion. Now apart from that, make sure your clothes are neatly ironed and also presentable. Wear the right clothes. Try and wear sober colors like white, plain, cream. These are colors that actually create a nice sober environment or an experience. If you wear colors that are vibrant, like for example purple or pink, what happens is it creates a different perspective altogether. So try and wear a lot more sober colors, and make sure everything, right from the specs, if you're wearing specs, your jewelry is minimum, your shoes are well polished, your footwear is in proper condition. So these are very important things to keep in mind when you are talking about how you present yourself. The next and the most important thing is to create a rapport with the person who is asking you about your interview, asking you various questions. So what happens is a lot of times people go for an interview and answer questions very, very to the point, very precisely. If somebody says, where did you study? Immediately, I studied at this place. That's it, closed. Try and create a totally different experience for the interviewer. A lot of times interviewers interview close to around 20 people for one role, and everybody is asked the same question. If it's a sales job, they might ask you, how are you going to sell this particular product, or what are you going to do differently? Imagine hearing the same thing from 10 to 20 different people. It gets very monotonous, it gets very boring for an interviewer. So that being said, you have to try and be different from the rest. That's what sets you apart, and that's what gives you a better chance of acing an interview. The best way you can do it is try and create a friendly atmosphere, a much more open discussion between you and the interviewer. Give a lot of information. It's okay to talk about your personal experiences, your personal thoughts, beliefs. Share a lot more and ask questions also from the interviewer. Usually interviewers will not hesitate to answer certain questions. Your questions need not be dedicated purely to the job. You can ask a lot of other questions also about the company, the work culture. Try and get yourself to feel placed already in that organization and see yourself as a good fit for this particular company where you are interviewing at. Now, coming to a question that every interviewer asks, this is asked 99.9% of the times. Tell me about yourself. The question may be usually tell me about yourself, or it can be paraphrased in some different ways, like, say something, tell me something interesting about you, or tell me something about you that I do not know. But these are questions that always revolves about you. The interviewer needs to know. They have your CV in their hands, they have your resume in their hands, but they still want to know something more about you. For this, there is something called an elevator pitch. For those of you who do not know what an elevator pitch is, imagine you are standing at an elevator waiting to go from the ground floor till the 6th floor. Okay, and say for example you are in a business complex. So there are a lot of different organizations and you are going for your interview to the 7th floor. Imagine if a person comes and stands right next to you. He's also waiting to go to the same floor or another floor, and you both enter the elevator together. Now at this point of time, if the person says, hi, tell me something about yourself, you have maximum between say 30 to 45 seconds to reach from the ground floor to your destination or his destination, whichever comes first. Okay. Now that being said, in 30 to 40 seconds, you have to answer about yourself. Tell the person, this is who I am. In that time, before the elevator doors open and you both go your different ways. Before that, you have to convince the person that this is who you are and create a positive impression about who you are. Who knows, maybe the person who was standing with you could have been the interviewer himself that morning. So try and have an elevator pitch, work on it right now before your interviews. 30 to 40 seconds to introduce yourself and say, this is who I am. Let me summarize again 3 ways that you can ace an interview that you go for. The first is the way you present yourself, the way you appear. How well you are dressed, how well you present yourself as a person that you are. The second most important thing is to also create a rapport or create an engaging session between you and the interviewer. And lastly, and a very, very important question that's asked majority of the times, tell me about yourself. Have an answer ready, have an elevator pitch ready, that in 30 to 45 seconds you are able to convince an interviewer that you are the right fit for the job. For all those of you who are looking at going for an interview, all those who are seeking a chance at different organizations to get into these companies after an interview, I wish you all the best. I hope this video has created some kind of a different awareness for you, given you a little more insight on how to ace interviews. So thank you so much for watching this video, and all the best for the interview that you're going to face.
We are almost nearing the end of the course. Let us now understand the case study or exercise for this Certified Placement Ready Candidate course. Doing this exercise and quiz is mandatory for certification. Here goes the exercise. Prepare your CV or resume, keeping in mind all the points discussed in the course. Draft a cover letter and send an email assuming that you are applying for the role of an assistant manager projects in XYZ Limited. Use the right email etiquette and resume building techniques. Link for quiz will be shared with those interested in certification. This is how the certificate for the course will look like. This will be issued post successful completion of the exercise and quiz. We are now at the end of the course. Let me quickly summarize what all we learned till now. We started with introduction to the course and course objectives. We then understood what is recruitment, selection, and difference between these terms. We then moved on to resume building, where we understood the must, should, and could of a good resume and also saw some interesting sample resume and CV. Then we understood about one of the most common recruitment rounds, which is GD or group discussion. We learned what traits are observed in a GD, types of seating arrangements, role played by participants, and how to excel in a real GD. Next, we got into understanding in detail about interview process, types, etc. Then we understood in detail about technical and HR interviews. We also learned the ABC of cracking interview, how to answer the frequently asked questions, do's and don'ts, and some key tips to crack any job interview. We finally understood the exercise for this course to be completed for certification. We hope that this exhaustive course on preparing you for the placement was exciting and helpful for you. Thank you so much for your attention. You can email us at arunsacademy4success@gmail.com in case of any queries, or if you want to give feedback about this course, Certified Placement Ready Candidate. Let us end this course with an interesting quote. A job interview is not a test of your knowledge, but your ability to use it at the right time. We hope you will be able to use your knowledge and become successful in cracking the job interview in your dream company. All the very best.
Congratulations on completing this online course. We hope you derived a lot of value from it. What next? 1. Implement the learning from the course in your personal and professional life. 2. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. 3. If you want to get a certificate, please do email your interest to us. In order to get a certificate, you are supposed to complete a quiz as well as the exercise or the project as explained in the course. Once you complete your assessment, the certificate will be issued. Note that the price for the e-certificate is rupees 399 and for hard copy certificate is rupees 699 plus GST. This price is to ensure that we are covering our expenses of course creation and certification process. Once you email us your interest for certification, you will be receiving an invoice. Post payment, you will get a payment receipt as well as the link for the assessment. Getting the certificate as shown in the course is purely your choice. Thanks a lot for choosing Arun's Academy for your learning needs. Please do get back to us in case of any query or clarification, or if you have any training requirements. Do write your feedback regarding this course. We at Arun's Academy wish you all the very best. Keep learning and keep growing.